bit ago I made this video about the most popular band from every US cities, and it did quite well for my standards, but it got quite a few, let's say, negative comments, because fair enough, I did get a lot of things wrong in that video, but I do want to do it again, which probably isn't a good idea now that I'm thinking about it. But I want to do most popular bands of every country in the world. Well, that's going to be the title, but not going to do every country, obviously. And hopefully this won't be as many mistakes, because, I mean, how do I mess up which country somebody comes from? But if I do mess something up, tell me in the comments. Now let's get straight into it. Where do we want to start? We've got the entire world to choose from. Should we just go US? That could be a bit easy, couldn't it? Okay, let's just do US first. So, what's the biggest band from the US? So, if it's not obvious, basically all the bands come from either UK or US. It's a bit depressing, that, really, isn't it? The biggest, most iconic band from the US? You've obviously got gigantic ones, but I'm tempted to lean towards Metallica. You've obviously got things like, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Linkin Park, Nirvana. Ooh, it could be Nirvana. Do you think Nirvana's more popular than Metallica? You know, it might be, so I'm between Metallica and Nirvana. You can tell me in the comments, but I think I might go Nirvana. Yeah, let's do that. Nirvana is the biggest band from the US, in my opinion. Now, if you have a different opinion, comment it down below. But, so we've done the US now. Should we do UK? That's a bit boring, but we could get the, you know, the popular ones out of the way. Yeah, let's do that, UK. Now, I don't think we need a big question for what's the biggest band from the US. It might, I mean, I think it's shifting, but the Beatles is definitely the most popular. I can see in like 10 years, 20 years, it might be Queen. You've definitely, the Beatles is the biggest, most iconic, most influential band from the UK. There's no doubt about it. I don't even know that you need to go and list the other bands, you know, like, yeah, I'm not even going to list them. Okay, that's the UK. Let's go across the Nordic Sea? Is it Nordic Sea or North Sea? Let me just check quickly. Ooh, that rhymed. The North Sea, not the Nordic. Is that even a thing? Nordic Sea? I don't think it is. Okay, across the North Sea we go to Sweden. Do I even need to ask the biggest band from Sweden? Come on, it's ABBA. If anybody's gonna argue with that, well, I'm sorry, you're just wrong. Oh, okay. That's a bit harsh, but yeah, ABBA's definitely the most popular band from Sweden, so let's not dwell on it too long, and let's go across the world. I want to go to Australia next. Australia's the kind of country that I really expected to have more big bands, but realistically, I only found a few big ones. And of course, the biggest and the only one that really went completely global scale is AC/DC. They obviously formed in Sydney, making them Australian, and yeah, I believe they're the only real band that got to a global stage, and it's definitely not a competition to what's the biggest band in Australia. So yeah, AC/DC. Should we go all the way to South America? I think we should. Let's go to Brazil. So Brazil obviously speaks Portuguese, so this band isn't an English speaking band, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Legião Urbana. I'm gonna find out how that's pronounced. Gemini AI has said Legião Urbana. I've got no clue if that's right. You can tell me in the comments. Anyway, so there I would say the biggest band from Brazil, and I obviously know nothing about the music scene in Brazil, so I'd love to know if I'm correct in saying that. If somebody from Brazil could tell me, that'd be great, but from what I found, I think they're the biggest. Yeah, so I'm not even going to try and say it again. Okay, I'm going a bit slow at the moment, so let's go back to Europe and let's go through some European countries. Let's start with Germany. So I think we can safely say that Rammstein, or Rammstein I think it is the biggest band from Germany, but notably there's also Scorpions that are from Germany. Right next to that we'll do France. I'd say that Gojira, the metal band, is the biggest, but Daft Punk is also there, which would be bigger, but I'm not going to count them as a band because they're a duo, but if you want to count them, that's fine. I'd say that they are bigger than Gojira. Spain, I'd put Spain didn't really have any big bands, surprisingly, you know, like world scale, so I found Heroes del Silencio. Sorry, that's probably, I'm really bad at pronunciation, but so you can tell me in the comments how they're meant to be pronounced, and yet again, you can tell me if I'm even getting this right by saying that Heroes del Silencio is the biggest band from Spain. Norway is next, and I'd say that a-ha is definitely the biggest band from Norway, you know, the ones that did Take On Me. And while we're here, we might as well do Ireland as well. And there are a few big bands from Ireland, but the biggest is definitely U2. But notably Cranberries, the people that made Zombie, and Thin Lizzy also come from there. Okay, so there's a few more in Europe. Let's just do them all in one go. So let's do Finland next. And interestingly, Finland has the most metal bands per capita, I think, which is really, you know, a strange that. I wonder if there's a correlation between being the happiest country in the world and the most metal bands. But yeah, for every like million people, there's like 500 metal bands or something. There's a fact check on the screen. Okay, I've got no clue while recording if this is right, but yeah, there's a ton of metal bands there apparently. Anyway, Nightwish is the biggest band from Finland. I'd say they're not a metal band per se, they're like an orchestral metal. Really cool. I really like Nightwish. The final country in Europe I have here, except Iceland actually, let's do that one first, is I'd say Of Monsters and Men in Iceland. But the last country I've got here, I'd say, is Italy. And the biggest band from Italy is actually one that's quite big, I'd say, especially in the modern days. In the modern days, what am I saying? Anyway, I still don't know how to say this. Is it Maneskin or Maneskin or something? I don't know. Yet again, you can tell me in the comments. But yeah, if you don't know, they're the people that made Beggin', the cover of another song which got really, really big. I really like it. And yeah, they're Italian. I didn't know that actually. In fact, I might have. I don't remember. And yeah, and they're definitely the biggest band from Italy, I'd say. So that's Europe done. Where should we move to next? We've not got a single one from Africa yet. I guess we'll go to Egypt. And the biggest band from Egypt, there's not necessarily any massive bands, but I did find one called Kairoki, and they're actually quite new. They only debuted a few years ago, I think, and they seem to be quite a cool upcoming band. So I did put that. I don't know if they're the biggest at the moment. There might be some older bands that are bigger, but Kairoki seems like they are becoming the biggest, if not already the biggest. So that's quite cool. Okay, do you know where we haven't gone at all? Asia. So we're gonna do Eastern Asia, you know, Japan first. But what's the biggest band from Japan? Well, I'll tell you that I found this little band called One OK Rock, and I don't know if they're the biggest, but I also found a band called Baby Metal. In fact, I say found, but I had heard of them before. Baby Metal is a metal band, and these are the members. You see where I'm going with this? This band is interesting to say the least, and you know what, there aren't many big bands from Japan, so I'm tempted to say that Baby Metal is the biggest. I'm not sure, just because of, you know, them doing what they do, have become quite prominent. So you can tell me in the comments if they're bigger than One OK Rock or if they're not. I'm not really sure, but come on, let's just give them their moments. Anyway, let's do South Korea next. This is probably the first band that's not a rock band. BTS is without a shadow of a doubt the biggest band from South Korea. Isn't that interesting that South Korea has a ton of, like, a massive music scene, but Japan doesn't really seem to? I wonder why that is. Anyway, BTS, definitely. There's no doubt about it. Now, while we're in Asia, why don't we try India? So, India, for such a massive country, didn't really have any massive bands, and the biggest that I found was one called Indian Ocean. So, yeah, quite cool. Okay, so you're probably thinking, where's Canada? Because we've not done Canada yet. That's a massive country. Well, the biggest band from Canada. Now, again, for such a massive country, I know they don't have a massive population, but they didn't really have any big bands, except Nickelback and Rush. Those were the two biggest, Nickelback and Rush. And I'd say that despite Rush having, of course, a big, you know, a cult-like following, let's call it, Nickelback is definitely the biggest. You know, they've got proper world-scale hits. So Nickelback, I'd say, is the Canada's biggest band. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do South Africa. So South Africa, another one from Africa. I think we've done every continent. I'd say the biggest band from South Africa is Seether, or Seether, I'm not sure. Yet again, not many big bands. I really wish there were bigger bands from, you know, all across the world. So that's gonna do it Ooh, wait, we haven't done all the continents yet. We've not done Antarctica. Antarctica, you're probably thinking, how does it have a band? Because it literally has nobody living there. It only has scientists. Well, let me tell you, scientists also like music apparently, because one time, a group of British scientists created a band while in Antarctica called Nunatak. And of course, it wasn't meant to be anything serious, but they did play a show on a live climate awareness thingy, which, yeah, I don't really know much about, but that's really interesting, isn't it? Literally made a band in Antarctica. Now, technically they're British, because, you know, they were British scientists, but come on, let's count it. Anyway, we've gone across the world today looking at completely different bands from the completely different countries. If you enjoyed this, drop a like down below. If you enjoyed my content, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.